Begin with Jason Van Dyke's testimony in his own murder trial. He spent just over an hour on the stand describing in detail what went through his mind when he fired 16 shots, killing Laquan McDonald.
CBS 2's Roseanne Tellez was in the courtroom during the testimony. She joins us live from the criminal court building with more. Roseanne.
Oh, Rob and Erica, Jason Van Dyke testified he just wanted Laquan McDonald to put his knife down. But in taking the stand in his own defense today, he also opened himself up to some blistering cross-examination.
He had just these huge white eyes.
Jason Van Dyke talking about the details of the shooting of Laquan McDonald for the first time in 4 years. Today described a black male with no expression, eyes bugging, approaching him with a knife, prompting him to fire.
Eventually he fell to the ground.
Did he ever drop that knife?
No.
And after you realized that he fell to the ground, did you stop shooting?
Once I recognized that he was on the ground, I stopped shooting.
Van Dyke stood to show how he put his gun down while continuing to yell, "Drop the knife."
If anything, did you observe about him while he was on the ground?
I could see him starting to push up with his left hand off the ground.
Then a second volley of shots Van Dyke says were meant to shoot the knife. Prosecutor Jody Gleason.
Where in that video does it show Laquan McDonald trying to get up?
I can't tell you, it's not in front of me.
Gleason hammered on inconsistencies between Van Dyke's testimony today and what he told detectives after the shooting.
I was under a lot of stress right immediately after the shooting, ma'am.
For example, was he backpedaling or not?
But after seeing the video countless times, I know I didn't backpedal.
Defense attorneys tried to turn the focus back on McDonald's actions.
And he could have walked to that fence, couldn't he, if he wanted to?
Could have thrown that knife away and it ended it all.
And you could have ended it all the minute he hit the ground, correct?
A lot of emotion in the courtroom today. At one point, I saw Laquan McDonald's uncle, face pointed up, eyes closed as if in prayer. I also saw Jason Van Dyke's father with his eyes closed, his hand, or his head, I should say, in his hands. Very charged atmosphere today. Closing arguments are expected to get underway by the end of the week. Live from the Layton Criminal Courts building, Roseanne Tellez, CBS 2 News. Rob?
Okay. Thank you, Roseanne.
CBS 2 legal analyst Irv Miller joins us now to analyze today's explosive testimony. So first, Irv, let's take a look at Van Dyke on the stand.
I could see him starting to push up.
Irv, Van Dyke appears to be getting choked up. Do you believe that this emotion was orchestrated? What is the plan here?
You know, I believe that this was sincere. I believe that's how he felt. I believe it was an emotional response to everything that's happened to him the last few years. I do believe it was legit. Do I also believe that his attorneys prepped him to testify as to how he should act toward the prosecutor, to be polite, don't interrupt, things like that. But also, if you feel the emotion, let it come out.
Okay. Now let's take a look at an interesting exchange between Van Dyke and the prosecution.
Okay. Do you recall telling Detective March that if Laquan McDonald came towards you, you backpedaled?
Yeah, I thought at that night that I had moved backwards. But after seeing the video countless times, I know I didn't backpedal.
Irv, that was just one of several times today that Van Dyke's testimony today, well, he actually had to backtrack some and admit that he had some misinformation from the last time, some things that he told the detective. So how might this influence the jurors?
You know, it goes towards the question of whether or not he's telling the truth, whether or not this jury could believe that he was acting in self-defense when this happened. His problem is you can't change the video. It is what it is. He basically had to deal with this video, and he said, well, I saw it, but I didn't see it on the video. And in addition to that, he also said certain things to a detective that he couldn't explain today. It hurt him. So in the eyes of the jury, is he truthful? And that's all that counts. The defense wanted him to look like a nice guy, a good cop. But on the other hand, he had a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when the jury actually gets this case. Thank you, Irv.
Thank you.